when I first saw the script, I was knocked out by the fact that someone American could write so well for an Englishman. Because usually, you know, we say silly things when Americans write for us, because that's the way English people talk. But Joss has got a real handle on how we English speak. And it was just, I mean, I loved the fact that there was so much humour, so much arch humour, and so much irony, and so much, I don't know, kind of colour and warmth to the character. It was multi-dimensional. It wasn't just, I am your stock silly Englishman. And it also, as time has gone on, I love the fact that there's a dark side, which is great to play, because it just gives you a lot of scope. And I did for a long time play villains. I do definitely have a dark side, and it's something that I've worked on for a few years, trying to sort out my dark side. But it's more about, I have anger issues. So does Charles. I guess there's, you know, I mean, as you grow older and you get sort of more about the craft and what acting is about, you actually get closer to yourself, and it's less about sort of putting on funny voices and funny clothes and pretending to be somebody else. It's more about exploring facets of yourself. Giles versus Ripper, who wins? I think they probably would just beat each other into a pulp, because they are one and the same person. There is no, you know, it's just like, I haven't seen it, but this, you know, the Nicolas Cage movie, is it adaptation? Whatever is it? You know, it's a no contest, because ultimately they both have the same intellect, they both have the same wits, they both have the same, you know, it's literally just one side of a person. It would just be a rather unfortunate puddle on the floor, I think. Some of the fan fiction is very saucy, and they do put me together with people that I wouldn't normally have put myself together with. For instance, no, I mean, you know, I can't, no, Giles and Willow. I mean, come on, please, not right. It's really not, you know. No, don't do it anyway. But no, in general, I mean, I have a great time at fan conventions, and I especially I love the question and answer sessions, just because I have good fun. Comic-Con is just scary by just the size of it, just the sheer dint of its size. And when we first, I don't think she was with us actually, but when we first did it, when Buffy did it, it was great. We did the question and answer session, and then they walked us down to the floor, and they surrounded us with this security force that was like the X-Men. It was like, what's going on? And in fact, if we just walked across the floor, as I've been a couple of times, and I just move around quite happily, and people recognise you occasionally, you know. If you do just need to keep an eye out, because if someone sees you and comes and asks you for your autograph, you've got to be able to do it quick and get out, because once it starts, there's no way out. And if you do happen to get backed into a corner, there ain't no way out, unless you got someone with a tunnel. Yeah, I mean, the difficult, but you know that thing of what, you know, I mean, I've done it a couple of times, not stalked anybody, but if I've seen somebody, you kind of do go a bit kind of, whoa. I mean, standing next to Elliot Gould in a shopping line. You can't, you know, and I mean, I've gone up to people a couple of times and just said, I really like your work, you know. And when people do that, it's lovely. It's really nice. And the only time it was ever, I did sometimes when I'm at dinner with my family, and especially when I wasn't seeing them very often, and I would talk, you know, I'd have sort of like a few hours in New York or something that we were stopping through, or, you know, we'd met, and then someone comes up and says, "Excuse, I never do this, but, you know, I hate to," and it's like, well, don't do it then. But the other one, the classic one, yes, this one actually, I can say, I had to do quite a lot of commuting on the train in England, and, you know, you fall asleep, and in my half sleep, I could hear this conversation going on. Go on, do it now. Go on. I don't think he's going to like it. Do it. Go on. What? And I sort of just opened my eyes, and there was this girl with one of these new cell phones that take pictures, and it was like there. And it's like, whoa, come on, don't do that. Don't, you know, don't go there.
I started out dancing and segued from dancing into acting because I liked being on stage, but I didn't actually like the discipline of the dancing. I just liked having people do this. I moved to Los Angeles when I was 14, and I didn't actually start on Buffy until I was like 22. So I've been working steadily for a number of years, and then, you know, I kind of walked into Buffy. I just auditioned for it and, you know, lucked into the part. I think the reason that Buffy is so popular is that really you're talking about a show that doesn't talk down to its audience, you know. It really does bring the audience into the show. It's about a young girl who, you know, kicks butt, you know, but it's not just about a young girl who kicks butt. It's about a young girl who's, you know, trying to find her way in this world, who is on her own, but yet, you know, has this family of friends, really, that help her. And we've been really lucky with our writers and our producers that they're just really intelligent people, and instead of it just being, you know, one level story, they take a one level story and add many dimensions to it, so that if you watch it, you can just see the blonde girl running around kicking vampire butt, or you can see the young girl who's, you know, dealing with, you know, her relationship with her mother and the relationship that she doesn't have with her father, and then dealing with this sister, you know, taking care of her sister, and then, you know, her romantic relationships, and then on top of that, you can look even deeper and see that we're dealing with mainstream issues, too. And I think that is why it's such a good game, is that they really do care about the story in the same way that the writers on the show care about the story. And they care about the characters. And they understand that the people that are going to be playing this game are fans of the show, and that they want what they see on TV. And that's what they're giving them in this game. And I think they're, you know, really lucky to have such a nice group of people putting the game together for them, the fans. What's wonderful about conventions is that you get to meet the people that watch your show. You get to meet the people that basically allow you to make a living. Because without the people that watch the show, without the fans, then, you know, I would be just some Joe Blow working in a restaurant somewhere bussing tables, probably, you know. So to meet everybody and to see the cross-section of different fans and see who is involved in the show, it's really amazing. As I've said in many different interviews, it's like a 6-year-old comes up and says, "I love you" on Buffy, and then a 75-year-old grandpa comes up and says, "I love you" on Buffy. So Buffy appeals to you know, many different generations of people. I mean, it has widespread appeal, I think, because it's just so interesting. It's so different. There's nothing else like it on television, except Angel, I guess. But it's just such a cool show, you know? And I think people appreciate having a show that doesn't talk down to them. I think that the fans are really going to enjoy the game, and like they enjoyed the first game, because it's well written. Chris and Tom have done something that I think is really, really smart. They have made the game just like an episode of the show. The quirky dialogue, the interesting relationships, the funny scenarios, the tongue-in-cheek self-referential humor, it's all there. So when you play the game, you feel like you are a part of, you know, Sunnydale.
I had said that I had lost a bet, my wife, for the game, but actually it was something I was just sitting in my trailer and I decided that I wanted to do them. So my wife took me to a person. So they were done professionally, but I just wanted to, you know, I wear open-toed shoes. I think it's unfair that women get to wear all the colorful stuff, you know. So I'm gonna take them off soon though, because I'm getting too many questions about them. I'm watching DVDs on it actively, but my wife got me the baseball game, so yeah, I'm just getting into that, and just the joystick. I haven't played since Atari, like the Barnstormer. You know, I was 9, I was 8. I'm 31 now, so that was a while ago. So I'm just kind of getting acclimated to my joystick, if you will. I had a really bad stutter and I didn't talk, and I had to go to therapy, and so when I was 18 or 19, I decided to challenge myself and take an acting class and kind of kick the stutter. I'm the spokesperson for the National Stuttering Foundation for the 3rd year in a row, which is kind of a cool thing, and I'm helping out a lot of people, so that's nice. I would have gone, you know, more with I didn't see any bedrooms in this game, you know. The whole Elijah thing, I mean, we talked about a couple things, but there weren't any interactive, you know, sex scenes. I think that would have been just much more entertaining for male and female fans alike. I've got the whole Anyanka stuff. I mean, there was some hot stuff there going on. Cordy, we never really knew, but there was some closet stuff. There could have been some really good interactive stuff there. Whole different market. I mean, sure, you would have gotten a different rating, but come on, the kids are still getting them anyway, aren't they? M for mature means you're 2, you can have it. I give to you, go, leave. I don't make the rules. I just break them. He's just, you know, he's just the guy that I think that makes everything kind of real. I mean, he's the one that has to see everything. You know, from I remember from doing the pilot episode and seeing the first vampire. You know, it's a lot different now because I'm just, you know, it's like second nature. You know, I'm just got used to it. So I just think that he's everyone's best friend when they need a best friend, when they're not hanging around their particular best friends, or if they've gotten into a fight with a best friend. He's kind of like he's like the baseline. It's a lot of fun, and I like, you know, I like my lines and what I have to say on the show. I think this show is still a lot of quality going on, and it's hard to, you know, if I were to go to like a different show, you know, I mean, even like film scripts right now, they're not as tight as our scripts for the show. So yeah, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. And I just think that it's a great thing, and it's still quality. So, you know, why want to run from it? The writing is so solid, and I just think that it was big cauldron stuff, really. You know, like, Joss hired the right actors, and I think everything with the style of it, the style of the way the show looked, with the writing, the way the actors performed, you know, their particular parts and stuff. I just think that it all came together. You know, it's one of those things that doesn't happen too often, and it's fun to be around. I just like talking about what I'm doing right now, and because things could happen and then things couldn't happen, so I don't want to get ahead of myself. Just want to kind of stay in the moment and be present in it and have a great time. I mean, this was a lot of hard work today. You know, we got through it, and so now I'm going to leave, you know, feeling accomplished and proud of myself. We did a great job.
I got into acting partly to do with the fact that my parents were both in the business, and both relatively well-known actors in England, and partly because I couldn't do anything else. And that sort of spurs you on to, you know, you've got to earn money after a certain point, after they chuck you out of the house. And waiting didn't work for me. I just got too cross with the people, so it was really acting, you know. Wasn't clever enough to be a brain surgeon. I came in and met with Joss about this particular part, and that was it, you know. It was very nice to be asked, and it felt as though the part had been written for me, so it was a lot of fun. I used to play in those arcades, you know, back in prehistoric times before everybody had PCs. I don't really do the PC thing. My wife does. So all that goes through her. And occasionally I watch her playing The Sims, and I say make him pee or take her clothes off. And that's about it, really. That's as far as I get into games these days. Just had a movie at Sundance, not in the competition, but in the festival. It's a movie with the Polish brothers, Mark and Mike Polish. No interesting encounters with fans that I'm going to point out. You know, I signing breasts and things like that. Yeah. That kind of interesting encounters. That's always. Occasionally they offer you their breasts or their bottom to sign, but I don't get used underwear in the mail or anything like that.
I've always been a genre writer, and proud of it, and always will be. I don't mind a sensitive drama. I like to watch them, but I don't know how to make them. I like genre, any genre. Every piece of art is exactly as good as how it's created. My favorite novels tend to be things that are, just about people, although there are some science fiction novels that are very important to me. War and Peace, not so much with the spaceships and the vampires, but I do think that science fiction and fantasy are incredibly overlooked. That genre is completely overlooked as a great base for telling stories that can encompass all range of human emotions and experience and history and sociology, and people tend to write them off as kind of lesser, when in fact I think they take a great deal of intelligence and concentration to both to create and to engage in. The fact that Buffy has become kind of a transmedia phenomenon, if you will, is something that I not only thought would happen, but planned on from the very start. Buffy was designed to be an icon. She was designed to be a hero that lived outside of her television show, that entered people's subconscious lives and their video games and their comic books and anything we could think of. Not that I was like, oh, I want to market, but I wanted to create something that was bigger than 1 hour a week. The most surprising aspect of doing Buffy, I think, is how incredibly tired I am all the time, and how much I hate people, as a rule. I'd say the other surprising things are that people understood what we were doing right away and appreciated it. We sort of figured we'd slip under the wire, and then people actually got it. That was really sweet. And how much I've learned in 7 years. I used Buffy kind of as a film school to learn how to direct, but I also found out a lot about people and how much I love working in different parts of the medium that I never even knew about. I think the appeal between the video game and the television show are necessarily somewhat different because they're different kinds of narrative. But I think what works is that Buffy is the sort of person who solves her problems through violence, which is the message I always want to send out to the kids. And but she is a figure of action, but very recognizable. So a lot of the great fighting games are very anonymous, which is a little disconcerting, especially after you've been killed about 25 times and you start to think, who am I? What does this mean? I don't understand, and you get very French. But with Buffy, you have that in. There's more to it. There's a backstory that is humongous, and there's all that to call upon, and there are visual images of these people and these actors that people love, and plus killing and killing and killing and killing. I'm amazed by how much the games look like the show and how much they've tried to keep the integrity of the show. That's really important to me. So it's really fun to play or to watch people who can actually live for 5 minutes play and see that that's where I've lived for 7 years. Mm-hmm. I know that place. I know those guys. I think the next level for the Buffy games is going to be big Nerf hands that you can hit each other with. But then again, I don't really know much about games. It's turned me into a megalomaniac, this whole show, and the game is only going to make it worse. And it is actually kind of humbling. I mean, it does make me proud, not that we struck a chord with people, because although that's nice, that's kind of a crapshoot. You sort of have to hit the zeitgeist. You sort of have to, be the right guy at the right time. And you can't really take all the credit for that. But we worked really hard all the time to make the show good. That I'm proud of. Humbling it is because, the show is bigger than me. It's bigger than the show now. It's a game. It's books. It's so many things. And when people get really passionate about it, they're getting something that I get really passionate about, because it isn't me. It's something, and it isn't even just something I've created. And that's not even just because there are other people involved, writers and actors and all that stuff. It's just when a thing is art, it separates itself from the people making it and becomes bigger than they are. And that is both humbling and extraordinary. When I first started 7 years ago, we didn't know if it would end after the first season, which is why, we killed the master and finished our arc out. I've had closure almost every year, except for year 6 when we knew we were getting a 2-year pickup, and then we sort of had the spiked soul. We left a thread. Every other time we've sort of said, if we never come back, we've said enough. So when we got to the 7th year and we knew this was going to be the last year, the statement we were trying to make became very important. And yeah, I feel like we went out exactly the way we should. What we have to say in the last episode is something that I really think the show has needed to say for a long time. What I'm going to miss most now that the show is finally wrapped and we've done our 7 years of hard, grueling, wonderful labor, is really the writers, hanging out with the writers. They're a really interesting bunch of people with some interesting problems, and that we would talk about for many, many hours. You know, one day I'm going to turn around and realize that, you know, I can't walk down the Sunnydale Street, the one street that we had, that I can't, you know, go into the Bronze, that I can't go to the place and go and yell at the director and do all those things that I like to do, and it's really going to hit me. It hasn't yet. I'm still in the exhaustion phase. I'm still in the, thank God, we made it. We're free. We're out.